Hello and welcome to Arts 24. Thank you for joining us here today. The Cannes Film Festival has unveiled its official selection for the Palme d'Or Prize this Thursday. The festival runs from May 13 to 24. Let's cross over now to our film critic, Ben Croll, who's been attending the press conference. Hi, Ben. Take us through, firstly, the films that are officially in the running for the Palme d'Or Prize this year.
Well, there are some very big films and very eagerly anticipated films that will be unfurling and unveiling on the Croisette this year. One of the biggest titles that was announced this morning at the press conference is this film Eddington from the American director Ari Aster. It is apparently a COVID-era parody starring Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, and Pedro Pascal. It's something of a Western, something of a horror. It seems wildly ambitious. It seems one of the bigger films to premiere at Cannes this year. Another major title is Nouvelle Vague. That is from the American director Richard Linklater. However, instead of shooting in his native Texas, here he's taken to the streets of Paris to make a black and white Valentine to the French New Wave, shot in France, in French, creating a real interesting bridge between Hollywood and Cannes and France, which is really one of the festival's main programs.
Now, Ben, outside of the competition, some major films will be premiering at Cannes as well this year. I'm thinking, of course, of Tom Cruise, who's expected to hit the red carpet for the 8th installment of the Mission Impossible series, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Yeah, despite the title, The Final Reckoning, it is the 8th, but there might well be a 9th and there might well be a 10th, depending on how well the reception at Cannes goes. You know, Tom Cruise attended Cannes a few years ago, pulling off stunts and doing an air show for Top Gun Maverick. He's almost certainly going to try to outdo himself, just as he tries to outdo himself every time he steps into one of these new Mission Impossible films. Interestingly, this film is slated for international release during the festival, as is another major blockbuster, Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme, which stars Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Benicio del Toro, and Scarlett Johansson. It just goes to show you that the Cannes Film Festival, which is the third most covered event worldwide, is a huge media opportunity for big stars to make big splashes.
Well, Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme is in the running as well for the Palme d'Or Prize. Let's take a look.
Rescue workers are laboring to recover and identify the remains of Zsa Korda, international businessman, maverick in the fields of armaments and aviation, among the richest men in Europe. This was Korda's 6th recorded airplane crash. He is survived by 10 children, 9 boys, 1 nun, his daughter Liesl.
Now, let's talk about women then. We know that Juliette Binoche, the French actress, will be heading the jury at Cannes this year. There are also quite a few female filmmakers who are part of the official selection as well.
That's absolutely right. You know, the filmmaker Julia Ducournau became the second filmmaker to ever win the Palme d'Or in 2021. She is back with her follow-up, a film called Alpha. This year, she's going to join 5 other female directors in competition, and it's a very diverse and international cast of female directors. There are films from Japan, there are films from Spain, there are films from Germany, there are films from America, and there are 2 films from France, one film from Julia Ducournau and one film from the actress Hafsia Hirsi, who just won the César for Best Actress last month, and now will make her debut in Cannes competition with her 3rd film, but her first film that could lend her the Palme d'Or.
All right, finally from you then, cinema legend Robert de Niro will also be receiving the honorary Palme d'Or this year at Cannes.
That's right. You know, Robert De Niro starred in 2 Palme d'Or winners, Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver and Roland Joffe's The Mission. He himself was the jury president in 2011, giving the Palme d'Or to Terrence Malick's The Tree of Life. This year, he is going to collect a Palme d'Or, an honorary Palme d'Or, honoring his career, honoring his work behind the camera, in front of the camera, as an emissary of cinema. You know, of late, he's also become quite an outspoken critic of American President Donald Trump, and so one can expect a strong political valence, an element of protest when he collects his honorary trophy and gives a masterclass on May 13th.
Well, but indeed, the Cannes Film Festival has always been sort of a reflection of what's going on in the world as well. Thank you so much, Ben Croll. That was France 24's film critic reporting in Paris. Now, its characteristic Art Deco facade dates back to the 1930s. The Grand Rex Cinema in Paris is Europe's largest cinema. It was also recently voted the most beautiful cinema in the world by Time Out magazine. Morgan Eyre takes us through its storied history.
Right in the heart of Paris is this Art Deco gem, the Grand Rex, a rite of passage for Hollywood stars. For 93 years, this cinema has weathered the 20th century and its ups and downs before being named the most beautiful cinema in the world.
Bonsoir, Paris!
It can now be visited like a museum.
C'est vertigineux, hein, là-haut.
It's dizzying. When you're here, you're overlooking the Rex.
Le Rex.
With 2,700 seats, it's the largest in Europe. The Rex, in other words, is the king of cinemas. The decor dates back to 1932, from the antique plaster statues and starry ceiling.
Qui a vu Titanic?
Who's seen Titanic?
Ah, ça lève plus les mains, là. Moi, j'aurais jamais
I never imagined as a
gamin,
kid that one day I'd be showing people around the Grand Rex.
Moi, j'adorais venir ici,
I used to love coming here, and after the movie, I just stared at the theater and it was magical.
C'était magique.
This palace dedicated to cinema, or what the French call the seventh art, has been impressing audiences for almost a century.
It amplifies the movie-going experience. It's a film set.
But the Grand Rex also experienced the dark hours of the 20th century. During World War II, when France was occupied by the Nazis, this theatre was reserved exclusively for German soldiers. This Charlie Chaplin mural found during a renovation was one of the discoveries from this period unearthed recently.
Ever since I was a child, there's been a clown, and instead of Charlie Chaplin's hat and mustache, you had a pointy hat. It was completely redesigned as a clown. The only explanation is that the Germans turned him into a clown because of Charlie Chaplin's film, The Dictator.
The Rex's last secret lies in an area still off limits to the public. With impressive views over the rooftops of Paris and this iconic rotating sign, it's a beacon for movie lovers across the city.
Well, from the big screen to the small screen, well, sort of. Getting to the cinema in rural France is no easy feat. You might sometimes have to travel 20 or 30 kilometers. In the central Loire Valley, a traveling cinema truck called Cinémobile is bridging the gap. It hosts regular film screenings across the region. Charlie James and our colleagues at France 2 hit the road.
Once a month, this huge truck navigates the narrow streets of this village. Instead of carrying goods, it has a movie theater squeezed inside.
I thought it was going to be much smaller, but when I arrived it was big, so big.
Cinémobile brings moments of happiness and emotion to residents.
It's a pleasure to provide a public service in the countryside and to small villages, to build community, to maintain the connection with the audience every month.
The Cinémobile project has 3 trucks that visit 46 villages in the central Loire Valley. Its annual budget, 1.2 million euros.
It's like magic, taking us back to our childhood, like a little toy in our hand.
2/3 comes from public funding, 1/3 from ticket sales.
With the 2 sides and the center aisle, we have 80 seats available.
This cinema enthusiast is hanging up posters, trying to attract the village's 2,300 residents and convince local officials to maintain this monthly event.
Here in Valency, you know, there still has to be activities, and it needs to be one showing per month instead of one every 2 months, which is what they're planning.
Soon, it's showtime.
Bonsoir. Deux places, oui. 5 places, s'il vous plaît.
It doesn't feel like a truck. It's as big as the smallest of cinemas.
The first of today's 4 showings starts in just a few minutes. With all 80 seats filled, the doors close. The nearest traditional cinema is around 40 kilometers away. So the cinema came to them to make the locals smile and share their joy on the big screen.
Finally, the largest ever exhibition dedicated to British artist David Hockney has opened here in Paris at the Fondation Louis Vuitton. It's the first time the Fondation has dedicated the entire museum to a living artist. And visitors will get to see rare pieces and even never before seen artworks from the British icon. Well, let's leave you with a glimpse of that retrospective. It runs until the end of August. Now, don't forget, you can catch all the latest on Arts24 on our website, france24.com, and on social media. Stay with us. More news coming up.